Morning. We've been talking a lot about fear lately, about how the fear that we feel often during a pandemic when routines have been, when there's upheaval in our routines, our reference points are diminished, that we feel at a loss, and we feel like perhaps we don't know where we're going. So this fear that we feel can often paralyze us, where we don't know the next step to take. We're not sure what our lives look like going forward. Some of this is bigger than life, bigger than our own decisions. We are dependent upon the way society moves and this virus moves. But some of it is our own. It's a response to these limitations. And when the fear strikes, when we feel paralyzed, when we feel like we don't know where we're going, it can be a very frightening situation. There's a story in Scripture about a man who was truly paralyzed, couldn't get his legs to work. He was born that way. And he hears about this great healer, this great preacher that's come to town. And he knows he can't get himself there, right? So he asks his friends, "Would you help me get to see Jesus?" So they decide, yes, they'll take him. So they get to the house, and the house where Jesus is preaching, and there's a crowd hanging out that house. There's no way they're going to get in there. They try and push through. They try and ask politely, and people just say, "No thanks, really. We've been here as long as you have, even longer. We're not making room for you." So they see a set of stairs to the roof of the house. And they say to their buddy, "We've got a plan." And he goes, "Go for it. I need to see Jesus." So they start taking him to the roof. And they're jostling him, right? He's got his head down, right? They're trying to lift him up over to the roof. And they get to the top of the roof. And they start taking apart the roof. And, I mean, it's an amazing Hollywood scene, if you think about it. You know, from underneath, there's a brand new skylight that erupts into this home, and dust motes are falling down, and bits of palm leaf and roof debris, and a shaft of light comes down right in front of Jesus, of course, right? And they lower their buddy down through a hole in the roof. There's no obstacle to what they won't do for him. And he lies there in front of Jesus on his hammock or on his stretcher. And people are a little put out, but they're also really amazed. Look at the lengths he'll go to be healed, to not be paralyzed anymore. Jesus responds to him with love, and not just forgives his sins, because in those days, disabilities were equated with sinfulness, right? The physical manifestation of a sinfulness of the individual or of their parents. He doesn't just heal him of his sins, because that was important to the Jews. But he also heals him from his paralysis. He tells him to pick up his mat and walk. Walk. The thing that he'd dreamt of his whole life. Walk. Go on. Pick up your mat and walk. What strikes me in this is that I too have faced paralysis in my life with decision making. And I'm sure you have too. Some of these decisions were bigger than others. Some of them were life-changing. And we run like a little chipmunk in our minds often. These decisions are difficult, and they freeze us up. So what's the best plan? Get out of your head. Talk to someone who cares about you. Include your friends or a companion or a professional in your hopes and dreams for becoming unparalyzed, for becoming unfrozen. Try and get someone else to help you see another way. And when you do, I mean, for me, it was so helpful. Reaching for help is a challenge sometimes. We don't want to be needy. We certainly don't want to be a bother. But I think we underestimate those who care for us. Believe in their compassion and their love for you, even their ability to help and to see another way. And trust yourself and your fears to someone else. And believe me, the burden is lighter. It might just end in a lack of paralysis.